Well, we're about the halfway point. Off to my right is what they call the Turnhole Trail, and then there's another trail that heads back down that way. I can't remember what it's called, but the one behind me here that heads off that way, that's our trail. That's the Buffalo Trail, and we're about halfway to the Bluffs area. Not quite. Unfortunately, I kind of wished I had got it on video, but I had a little bit of an accident about a little ways back. I set the camera down to shoot some video, and I kind of knelt down or squatted down, and I'm so top heavy with this pack, I just lost my balance and fell over backwards and landed on my side. And it didn't hurt anything, but I was so top heavy I couldn't get up, and I said, I'm going to have to take this pack off. Well, I finally managed to squirt my way back to my feet, but man, that day I'm glad there wasn't anybody around to watch it. But I do wish I'd had a video of it, because it would have been pretty funny. Anyway, we're going to take a short break. We're going to head on down that way, and looking forward to some good photography. There's quite a bit of color, but there's surprisingly more green in here than I thought there would be. Way more than I would suspect by this time of year. Real nice color back over this way. Anyway, we're going to head off that way. Oh my goodness, it feels good to take that pack off my back. We're finally here. This is the Bluffs area. I took a quick little sweet video a while ago just to kind of capture what it is. It's hard to kind of get this in one photo, but yeah, it seemed like I don't know how heavy this pack was, but for every step I took, it seemed like it got heavier. So I'm kind of an old school backpacker anyway. I've done enough over the years where I kind of feel like I'm accomplished at it, but I'm consequently all of my gear is old school too, and as a result it's kind of heavier, a lot heavier than just your typical newer technology that you can have today. But before I kind of get going here, we're going to take a quick look at what's in my pack. I normally don't bring one of these, but this is a little axe that I brought this time around. Thought it might become heavy. It's not that long of a hike today, so a little extra weight wasn't going to kill me, but I think it got a little heavy as I got farther into here. And this is my, if I can get it off of here. This is my sleeping pad. It's one of those self-inflating pads. And it's fairly old. It's one of the newest pieces of equipment I've got, and it's like 15 years old. But it's, boy, I tell you, it really is worth the effort to bring it in. On the other side, I've got my tent, and I typically don't bring this tent on a backpacking trip because it is kind of heavy. I've got a smaller one, but I wanted something with a little more room in it this time. This is a technically it's a two-man tent, but realistically it's just a one-man tent. And in here I've got my, I think it's my water purification thing, which I will need later on, but I didn't want to haul all that water in. Made by Pure, and this thing is probably 25 years old anyway, somewhere around there. And got me a little light here, kind of neat, and I'm just going to keep that in there for now. And that's everything on that side, except over here. And I've got, this is my little Peak One camp stove. And I have absolutely loved this thing. That's why I keep hanging on to it. It is one of the original Peak One single burner stoves. This thing is probably well over 40 years old, and it has never missed a beat. Never missed a beat. The only thing I've ever done to it is I had to replace this little pumper thing one time because it all kind of got dried out. But I love this thing. That's everything on the outside. Now on the inside, here, a little bit extra clothes, dry socks. This is some camera gear. I got in a little bag here, a little fanny pack, which I will use later on as I get to exploring. Here's my little cook set. A small little coffee pot. I typically don't bring something like this, but I decided I'd do it this time. A little small one, and then a cup that I can cook in and drink out of and do whatever. A small first aid kit. And what else have I got in here? Let's see. Oh yeah, I've got just a little, you can use that as a pillow or something to sit on. It's real, that's really super light. And I have a homemade little sleeping bag liners made out of a kind of a flannel type material. I made that myself. That's not very heavy. In fact, in the summer you could camp with that. They could use that as your sleeping bag. And then I got my sleeping bag in here, and I'm not going to pull it out. This sleeping bag is probably, it's at least 25 years old. Yeah, I bought that before I went up to Colorado some years ago. And then on top here, just my map. I always have a map when I come in a place like this. It does come in handy. And we've got this is my kitchen. Got edibles and stuff. Another little map, some rope and line that I might need, an empty water bottle. Like a tent stake. I don't know what that tent stake's doing in there. Anyway, and that's pretty much all my gear. And you see, it didn't bring very much, but it's amazing at how fast that stuff adds up in weight. Man, I mean, it is really something else. So I'm going to set up a tent, and then we'll start taking some pictures. I'm going to gather some firewood first. I want that later on, and start taking some pictures. Okay, I've got my 35 to 105 Minolta lens on this camera. I don't have with me anyway a polarizer that fits this particular lens, but I do have this other one that fits on my other lens. I can't screw it on there, but I can hold it in front of it, and I think you're going to see some interesting results here. This is what you're looking at now is without the polarizer. I'm going to slide this on there. Now we're going to kind of rotate him around here. And you start seeing some different tones and stuff in there. There we go. See, right there. That's probably about the peak polarizing effect. And then we're going to take that shot here in just a second. Alright, I'm going to point out something compositionally here. I'm kind of up on this ridge up by the bluff. I'm looking back down into the ravine, and got all these backlit trees in there that are just absolutely spectacular. But again, visualizing it and seeing it is different than capturing it on camera. Camera's a little different. But one thing that I did notice, tip it right down here, tip it a little bit more. See right at the base of those trees there on the, right down here, see how there's some little highlights in there? It's little things like that that contribute to the success of a composition. There's minor little things. Most people probably wouldn't see it, and in fact I didn't see it until I took a second shot. But since the trees are tall and long, it really suits itself well for a vertical composition. Again, I can't do that vertically here on the video, but I'll show that photo to you here in just a moment. But I included those little things right down there in that vertical composition. And I put a polarizer on there and kind of softened up and darkened up took a lot of the glare and stuff off of those leaves. And I think it turned out pretty good. It's amazing what a little small thing like that will do to your photographs. By the time the sun drifted toward its rendezvous with the western horizon, the events of the day began to take their toll as stiff joints and achy muscles reminded me that, well, I just wasn't as young as I used to be. I captured a few late afternoon photographs and taking advantage of the long shadows and softer light, and then stoked the campfire into life and fired up my Coleman Peak 1 camp stove and cooked a meal and settled in to relax by the warming glow of the fire. Experiencing the end of the day sitting around the fire reminded me why I chose Beyond the Campfire as the theme of my blog and video programs. You see, it's when you take time to step away from everyday life and explore new adventures. Well, that's when what's locked up in your heart reveals itself and seeks to find its own path. Taking a camera along is just the excuse for doing so. Capturing the moment is what it's all about, not just photographically, but emotionally. And I suppose we all need a piece of what such experience offer. Sometimes life gets in the way of living, but today, at least for a time, I experienced living to the fullest.